Hello students, I hope you all are doing good, and this is Dr. Prahlad. So today what I'll do is I'll try to cover a few topics. I'm sure you must have gone through the slides that I had sent you earlier, and as per your suggestions that we had taken during the Zoom call we had, so I'll be sending my audio as well today. And today I intend to cover the Doppler effect, and then I'll go a bit into ultrasonics. Fine. So let's move. All right. So first of all, we'll be covering acoustical defects and how they are rectified, and basically the remedies, you can say. So first of all, the first defect that we are going to talk about is excessive reverberation. Now reverberation is something that I had already discussed in the class. Now what is the effect of reverberation? The effect is that bad quality of sound. Now how do we rectify this? So this we can rectify by installing sound absorbing materials at proper places. Like in the class also I had shown you how we have got wooden walls, like wall, and then beyond the wooden part there are some absorbing materials, so which I had shown in the class. So that is one way of rectifying this excessive reverberation. Now next come echoes. So echoes, so what is the effect of echo? So there is superposition of sound. So when I speak something, so before I say the next word, so the previous one will be kind of, there will be echo of the previous word that I have spoken about. Fine. Now how to rectify this? So for this what I'll do is I will select proper shape of the surface, and that shape will be covered by sound absorbing materials. Fine. So in that way what I can do is I can reduce the effect of the echoes in the hall, or say in a big classroom. And next is what? Sound foci. Now foci is what? Is the plural of focus. Now what is its effect? Its effect is the sound of large intensity is focused at a focal point. Now for this, at a particular point, so there will be very large intensity. So in order to rectify this, what we do is we cover the point by high sound absorbing materials. Fine. So elimination of curvilinear interiors or covering the point by high sound absorbing materials. Clear? Okay. So next comes dead spots. What are these dead spots? The effect is that at these spots insufficient sound intensity is produced. So at particular points the sound intensity will be very low. Now this can be rectified by installation of sound diffusers. So the sound will be diffused, and as a result, so it will kind of uniformly be distributed all over the space. Now next comes is insufficient loudness. So what is the effect of this? When there is insufficient loudness, there is non-uniform distribution of sound. Now how to overcome this problem? So for this, a hard reflect surface near the source or loudspeakers is placed. So as a result, the non-uniform part is basically, you can say, it's kind of reflected off. Fine. And the final defect that we are going to talk about is noise. And what is the effect of this noise? So external noise makes speech or music intelligible. Fine. So now how to rectify this? Using enough doors and windows and providing suitable sound insulation to building. So in order to avoid this unwanted noise that we can say. Fine. Okay. So first of all, what we are going to discuss is Doppler effect. Now what is Doppler effect? Doppler effect is the apparent change in the frequency or wavelength of any emitted waves, such as a wave of light or sound, at the source of the wave approaches or moves away from an observer. I am sure you have studied Doppler effect in your class 11 and 12, but this is kind of a revision, you can say. Now for this you can read this part. So I'll just point out a few of the important points. The relative increase in frequency can be explained as follows. How? When the source of the waves is moving towards the observer, each successive wave crest is emitted from a position closer to the observer than the previous wave. So therefore, each wave takes slightly less time to reach the observer than the previous wave. Fine. Now therefore, what happens? The time between the arrival of successive wave crest at the observer is reduced, causing an increase in the frequency. Fine. Now when they are traveling, the distance between successive wave fronts is reduced, so the waves bunch together, you can say. So this is basically the effect that we see when we talk about like when there is a relative motion between the source and the observer. So there are various cases, so we are going to discuss them one by one in the following. Okay, now you see, now the resting sound source. Now what you see is the source is at rest. Fine. As you can see, this car, so the siren is on. Now the sound, it travels towards this observer, which is also at rest. Now the sound is traveling, and finally it reaches the observer, and this is a sound, so its velocity in air is 340 meter per second. Fine. Now the frequency of the sound as observed by this observer is frequency, say f naught. So this will be what? Since both are at rest, so the frequency will be same for the source and the one thing. The next case is what? The next case is the sound source moving towards the observer. Now this police van or ambulance, whatever you may assume, so this is moving towards the observer, which is at rest. As you can see, what is happening? Now there is going to be difference in the frequency observed by the observer and that emitted by the source. Fine. If the source frequency is fs and frequency is f naught, so in this case what will happen? The frequency of waves observed will be greater than that of the original, that is the frequency of the source. Fine. Because this distance between the observer and the source has reduced. Got it? Now observer hears increased pitch, or you can say a shorter wavelength. Okay, great. More frequency means less wavelength, because we know they are inversely proportional. Moving ahead, so now putting it in terms of mathematical expressions. Now case 1, source in motion, observer at rest. So in this case what happens is, when the source is stationary, wavelength of the wave is given as, we know that c equal to nu lambda, right? So now this is v, actually v is equal to n lambda. Fine. N is my frequency. Now when the source approaches the observer, the apparent wavelength is given by what? Lambda 1 is equal to v minus vs by n. So now what is happening? This is reducing, v minus vs. Fine. Now for this case, next you see the apparent frequency is given as what? N1 is equal to v by lambda 1. Same relation, but in this case we will put this lambda 1, will put this value. Fine. Because the source was approaching the observer. Fine. Now on putting this value, we finally come to this expression. Now let us see what happens. Apparent frequency n1 here is greater than the original frequency n. Fine. Clear? So apparent frequency is greater than the original frequency n, as we saw in the previous slide also. Fine. Now you see, if the source moves away from the observer, the apparent wavelength is given by what? lambda 1 is equal to V plus Vs. Now here it was reducing, but here now it will be V plus. Now this is moving away. Now when we put this, now N1 becomes what? Using the final expression similarly to this case, so it becomes N1 is equal to Vn by V plus Vs. Fine. So apparent frequency N1 now is less than the original frequency N, because the denominator is greater here. Fine. Wonderful. Now let's move ahead. So second case, when the observer is in motion and the source is at rest, is that when the observer is stationary, now the wavelength of the wave is given as V is equal to n lambda. Fine. That is same as in the previous case. Now when the observer approaches the source, the number of waves received is given by what? So there will be increase in the number of source, but how much? This increase, so N1 is equal to N, which is the original frequency, plus V naught N by V. Fine. So this is the additional term. Fine. Now hence the apparent frequency is given as what? N2 is equal to N plus V naught N by V. The same thing that we are putting here. Now on taking the LCM V, we have V plus V naught into N by V. Fine. Wonderful. Now the apparent frequency N2 in this case is greater than the original frequency N because of this particular term. Fine. Next you see, if the observer moves away from the source, the apparent wavelength is given by what? It is given by N2 is equal to N minus V naught N by V. So what is this? This is negative now. Now as a result, what will happen? Apparent frequency N2 is less than the original frequency N. Alright. So move ahead. Now we have another case. Now you see the observer and source both are in motion. So as in the previous cases, we know that when the observer is stationary, the wavelength of the wave is given as V equal to nu or n lambda. So and then when the observer approaches the source, the number of waves received is given by N1 is equal to N original plus V naught N by V. Fine. This is the original one. Hence the apparent frequency. So in each case you have to find the apparent frequency only. The apparent frequency is given as N2 is equal to N plus V naught N. So this is similar to one of the cases in the previous slide. Fine. Okay. So for this what happens? The apparent frequency N2 is greater than the original frequency N. Now you see, if the observer moves away from the source, the apparent wavelength is given by what? N2 minus V naught N by V. So this is equal to what? On simplifying, we get this expression, and finally we can say that apparent frequency N2 is less than the original frequency N. Okay. Now when the observer is stationary, now the apparent frequency is given as what? N1 is equal to Vn by V minus Vs from the previous slides. When the observer is moving away from the source with velocity V naught, the apparent frequency is given as N3 is equal to N1 V minus V naught by V. So and from this we can find that N3 is given as V minus V naught N V minus Vs. Fine. So here what we have done is we have just substituted the value of N1 from here. Fine. Alright. So in this case we can say that apparent frequency will decrease. Now when the observer is also moving towards the source, then apparent frequency is given as N3 is equal to N1 V plus V naught by V. So in this case, now again if we substitute the value of N1 from here, so we have N3 is equal to V plus V naught into N by V minus Vs. Got it? Okay. So in this case, we can that the apparent frequency will in. All right, students. So now we have a small problem on Doppler effect. I'll solve this for you for now, but I would want you to go through the other problems which I'll be sending very shortly. Right. So this problem is on it says what an ambulance travels down a highway at a speed of 75 miles per hour. Its siren emitting sound at a frequency of 4 into 10 to the power 2 hertz. What frequency is heard by a passenger in a car traveling at 55 miles per hour in the opposite direction as the car and ambulance? Now we have got two cases here, like in number 1 A, that is approach each other. So both are moving, but then they are approaching each other. And in the second case, like pass and move away from each other. So they are moving away from each other. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to convert the miles per hour to meter per second. So that I leave it to you, like 1 mile is equal to 1609 meters approximately. So you can use that, and hours, as you know, so 1 hour is 60 minutes, 60 minutes is 60 minutes, 1 minute is 60 seconds, and accordingly you have to work it out. Fine. So using this, Vs, that is of the source, is found to be 33.5 meter per second, and V naught, that is velocity of the observer, is 24.6 meter per second. So the conversion is done, and after that only thing you need to do is you need to find the frequency of the observer, and for that you need to use the formula that we derived in the previous slides. Right? So just plug in the values. So this is the frequency given to us, Fs, and then V. V is the approximately the velocity of sound in air plus V naught and V minus Vs. So this gives us 475 hertz. Now in the other case, when both are moving away from each other, so in that case what we are expected, so only change that we will have is the direction. Fine. So this will be plus of minus 24.6 because now they are moving away from each other, and here it is minus of 33.5 meter per second. Fine. So that way now you see that F naught is 339 in this case when they are moving away from each other, and it is 475 hertz when it is approaching each other. I hope this is clear, right? Okay. Now next we come to ultrasonics. Now what are ultrasonic waves? Now we also have an experiment in our lab on ultrasonic waves, and the first question that I ask you is, what are ultrasonic waves? So ultrasonic wave is a sound wave with a frequency above the audible range of human hearing, that is above 20 kilohertz, that is 20,000 hertz and above, up to how much? It is up to about 5 megahertz or even more. Right? Now next is what? Ultrasonic is used in day-to-day life in many fields, like it is used in cleaning metal parts of instruments, especially in medical equipments. Then it is also used in the detection of flaw in metallurgy, railways, iron ropes, etc. And it is heavily used in scientific research and in medical field as sonogram of human body. In fact, in my PhD work also I had used ultrasonicator. So there also ultrasonic sound was used for sonication. So we have a separate machine. So in that we used to keep our samples and for proper mixing. So that was another use of ultrasonic waves. Right? So moving ahead, let's go. Okay. Now we should have some idea about the frequency spectrum. Now 21 kilohertz, so it is basically for the depth sounder, and 25 kilohertz is for a grasshopper, then 30 kilohertz submarine detection, 70 kilohertz bats signal ranging, so bats they operate in this range, and then 100 kilohertz is for types of whistles, different kinds of whistles we have, and 3 megahertz is thickness gauges, fine, and then 12 megahertz, so these are approximate numbers of course, and these are for flaw detectors. 15 megahertz is used for medical diagnosis, fine. So you can also look into some more numbers in the internet, you will easily get, fine. Now dolphins, these are some examples that I am going to show now. Dolphins are famous for their sonar, so that they can make acoustic mental images of the environment, fine. So they use this ultrasonic waves. This way they can detect in murky waters fish shoals located hundreds of meters away, because they for their food, fine. So they use this technology in a very natural way. The sonar employs sounds from 250 hertz to 220 kilohertz. So isn't this interesting? So the dolphins are also using this technology. So next we come to this generation of ultrasound, fine. So how like in the lab also, like in our experiment that we have in our lab, so we have, you must have seen that we use transducers. So what basically is the use of the transducers? So they are used for the generation of ultrasound. So you don't have to remember anything from here, from this slide. So all you need to know that what I just wanted to give you a brief idea about what it consists of. So we use ultrasonically active liquid, then there are certain attachments, then aluminum coupling mass. So all these we have. So you can just have a look at this slide. So for now I think this will be it. So I'll be sending you another set of slides very soon, probably by Monday or Tuesday, and till then just enjoy the slides, and I'll also be sending you a short assignment. So do it sincerely, and try to be like do it seriously. Okay, thank you so much. Okay.